Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Western Canon Challenge, where we are reading the entirety of the Western literary canon out loud. Well, today we are moving on to part 4 of the poems of Trumbull Stickney, and as always, I will be putting the names of the poems in the description with the timestamps so you can find the one that you are looking for. In that case, you're looking for a specific one. So, with that said, I will get started, and the first poem is entitled Age in Youth. From far she's come, and very old, and very soiled with wandering. The dust of seasons she has brought unbidden to this field of spring. She's halted at the log-barred gate. The May-day waits, a tangled spill of light that weaves and moves along the daisied margin of the hill, where nature bears her bridal heart, and on her snowy soul the sun lingers desirously and dull, an amorous pale vermilion. She's halted, propped her rigid arms, with dead, big eyes she drinks the west. The brown rags hang like clotted dust about her, save her withered breast. A very soilure of a dream runs in the furrows of her brow, and with a crazy voice she croons an ugly catch of long ago. Its broken rhythm is hard and hoarse, its sunken soul of music toils in precious ashes, dust of youth and lovely faces sorrow soils. But look, along the molten sky there runs strange havoc of the sun. What a strange sight is this, she says. I'll cross the field, I'll follow on. The bars are falling from the gate. The meshes of the meadow yield, and trudging sunsetward she draws a journey through the daisy field. The daisies shudder at her hem, her dry face laughs with flowery light. An oriole lifts her soiled greyed hair. I'll on, she says, to see this light. In her rude mouth her torn shoe mows juices of trod grass and crushed stalk, mixed with a soiled and earthy dew, with smear of petals grey as chalk. The spring grows sour along her track, the winy airs of amethyst turn acid. Just beyond the ledge, she says, I'll see the sun at rest. And to the tremor of her croon, her old catch of long ago, the newest daisies of the grass, she shreds and passes on below. The sun is gone where nothing is, and the black-bladed shadows war. She came and passed, she passed along that wet, black curve of scimitar. In vain the flower-lifting morn, with golden fingers to uprear, the weak spring here shall pause a while. This is a scar upon the year. In summer. It's growing evening in my soul, it darkens in. At the grey window now and then I hear them toll the hour and day-long chimes of Saint Etienne. Indeed, I'd not have lived elsewhere, nor otherwise, nor as the dreary saying is, been happier, to wear the love of life within my eyes. My heart's desolate meadow ways, all wet and green, open for her to wander in a little space. I'd have it even so as it has been. I've lived the days that fly away. I have a tale to tell when age has made me pale, and hair of grey, excuse the fancy shaking out her sail. No one shall know what I intend, even as I feel the aching voices make appeal and swell and blend. It seems to me I might stoop down to kneel in memory of that day in June, when all the land lying out in lazy summer fanned now and anon by dying breezes from the channel strand. With nothing in our lives behind, nothing before, and sunlight rich as melting ore and wide as wind, we clomb the dungeon tower of old geysers, through the portcullis botched in wood, and up, in fear, a laddered darkness of a stair, up to the good sun-stricken prospect and the dazzling air. Even now I shade my breaking eyes, and by her side surely she saw my heart divide like paradise for her to walk abroad in at noontide. It swims about my memory. I feel around the country steeped in summer swound. I feel the sigh that all these years within her breast was bound. Her fingers in my hand are laid. I seem to gaze into the colors of her face, and there is made a quiver in my knees like meadow's grass. That time I lived, the life I have, a certain flower blooms in 100 years 1 hour, and what it gave is richer, no more, but all its power. The chimes have ended for today. After midnight, solitude blows her candle out, dreams go away, and memory falls from the mast of thought. I love thee longer, and I love thee most. I love thee longer, and I love thee most, although I love thee always to the end. Today among the blossoms lightly tossed, that with the sunshine blend. Below the bright new leaves and wandering within the warm and lilac-laden breeze, I love thee most this only day of spring, under the open trees. This thick-curled hyacinth is all for thee. The tulip yonder wave to get a smile. Make them as happy, love. Ah, happy me. Love them a little while. I am so happy, happy being thine. There draws throughout my breast from backward far a lonely highroad up to the skyline, to thee, my sunset star. And tiptoe on the height my soul looked up with asking eyes and softly flew away. I love thee in the ways of paradise. I love thee most today. The sun is westering in thy dark red hair. Let me throw down my armful here of bloom, and leaned on this acacia let us share the daylight going home. And suffer once that from thy lips I drink the livelong happiness of our today, till at thy feet in songs and prayer I sink, that thou shouldst call me thine. Chestnuts in November. This is a collection of 2 poems on the subject. 1. Nor all the trees are done, the branches mean, the trunks begrimed and sodden, no, not at all. How fresh, and though a few, how prodigal, on yonder chestnut here and there are seen, white wisps, and frilled about them bits of green. They color on the deadness of fall. They spring, and with the lated swallows call, happy next year, into the year that's been. O call not nature spendthrift, and of thee say not they bloom in error for the frost. The sweetness of all things are promises that sing our souls a little further on, toward that which may be found and what is lost, which may come back again of what is gone. 2. I also, where I stand within thy soul, a plant of thine and growing in thy year, must, if the season turneth to the seer, if so it please thee, lose my Ariel. Yet though my leaves to the last one should roll away down on the wind and disappear, and I should nothing question but the drear, great darkness should impenetrate me whole, the midnight in my eyes would ne'ertheless not firmly hang, but sway, and breaking shine with thoughts of gold and stars of happiness, that at the end thou mightest repossess, mightest possess again and further bless my sad and human acres that are thine. An Athenian Garden. The burned and dusty garden said, my leaves are echoes, and thy earth is packed with footsteps of the dead. The strength of springtime brought to birth some needles on the crooked fir, a rose, a laurel, little worth. Come here, ye dreaming souls that err among the immortals of the grave. My summer is your sepulchre. On earth, what darker voices rave than now this sea breeze, driving dust and whirling radiance wave on wave? With lulls so fearful through the gust that on the shapeless flower bed, like timber splits the yellow crust. Oh, thirsty, thirsty are the dead, still thirsty, ever unallayed, where is no water, bring no bread. I then had almost answer made, when round the path in pleasure drew 3 golden children to the shade. They stirred the dust with pail and hoe. Then did the littlest from his fears come up and with his eyes of blue give me some berry seriously. And as he turned to his brother, I looked after him through happy tears. Sunium. These are the strings of the Aegean lyre, across the sky and sea in glory hung, columns of white through which the wind has flung the clouds and stars and drawn the rain and fire. Their flutings now to fill the notes desire are strained and dubious, yet in music young they cast their full-blown answer far along, to where in sea the island hills expire. How bravely from the quarry's earthen gloom in snow they rose amid the blue to stand, melodious and alone on Sunium. They shall not wither back into the land. The sun that harps them with his golden hand doth slowly with his hand of gold consume. Mount Lykaion. Alone on Lykaion since man hath been, stand on the height 2 columns, where at rest 2 eagles hewn of gold sit looking east forever, and the sun goes up between. Far down around the mountain's oval green, in order keeps the falling stones abreast. Below within the chaos last and least, a river like a curl of light is seen. Beyond the river lies the even sea. Beyond the sea another ghost of sky. O God, support the sickness of my eye, lest the far space and long antiquity suck out my heart, and on this awful ground the great wind kill my little shell with sound. Near Helikon. By such an all-embalming summer day as sweetens now among the mountain pines, down to the cornland yonder and the vines, to where the sky and sea are mixed and gray, how do all things together take their way, harmonious to the harvest, bringing wines and bread and light and whatsoe'er combines, in the large wreath to make it round and gay. To me my troubled life doth now appear like scarce distinguishable summits hung around the blue horizon, places where not even a traveller purposeth to steer, whereof a migrant bird in passing sung, and the girl closed her window not to hear. Eleusis. Here for 1,000 years, processional winding around the Eleusinian bay, the world with drooping eyes has made her way by stair and portal to the sombre hall. As then the litanies antiphonal obscurely through the pillars sang away, it dawned, and then the shaft of sudden day Demeter smiling gave her bread to all. They drew as waves out of a twilight main, long genuflecting multitudes to feed with God upon the sacramental grain. And lo, the temple veil was rent in twain, but through the rift their choirs in silver train, still passing out, rehearsed the human creed. Mount Ida. This is a group of 3 poems. 1. I long desired to see, I now have seen. Yonder the heavenly everlasting bride draws the white shadows to her virgin side. Ida, whom long ago God made his queen. The daylight weakens to a fearful sheen. The mountains slumber seaward, sanctified, and cloudy shafts of bluish vapor hide the places where a sky and world have been. O Ida, snowy bride that God espoused unto that day that never wholly is, whiten thou the horizon of my eyes, that when the momentary sea aroused flows up in earthquake, still thou mayest rise, sacred above the quivering Cyclades. 2. Art thou still veiled, and ne'er before my sight, at sunset, as I yearn to see thee most, wilt thou appear in crimson robes and lost aloft the crystal vapors of the night? Is it the rule of all things infinite to trail across remoteness and in clouds the glory of their sacerdotal shrouds, and shade with evening their eternal light? O travellers abroad the mortal plain, on weary beasts of burden overta'en by the unspeakable hours, I say, press on. For though a little part be hardly seen, hope spangles out the rest, and while ye strain, another cloud already, look, is gone. 3. As now my ship at midday passes out into the lonely circles of the sea, thou o'er thy southern island loftily, vague in the light appearest like a thought. Over the blazing waves my vessel caught continues more into infinity. And as adoring I look after thee, my eyes see white, and in thy place is not. In the decline and speed of human things, when time drags on the dreamer by the hand like an unwilling child and reprobate, it is enough if on the parting sings the certain voice he could not understand. It is enough, it is not yet too late. 6 o'clock. Now burst above the city's cold twilight the piercing whistles and the tower clocks, for day is done along the frozen docks. The workmen set their ragged shirts aright. Through factory doors a stream of dingy light follows the scrimmage as it quickly flocks to hut and home among the snow's grey blocks. I love you, human laborers. Good night. Good night to all the blackened arms that ache. Good night to every sick and sweated brow, to the poor girl that strength and love forsake. To the poor boy who can no more, I vow the victim soon shall shudder at the stake and fall in blood. We bring him even now. My note is highest of them all. My note is highest of them all, and uppermost along the choir, with tremors of my treble I call the mist of stars to point their fire, while nevermore my echoes fall, though silence hath an interval, for love of order on the lyre. I am the lady of the scale, for all that moveth music is. The reasons of my note prevail through pause and changes of melodies, and sinking down the endless gale, I do command the fiery trail. Howe'er my song is not of me, the sphere and circuit of each star flashes that, their degree, and storm their light with swell of war. The dragons of the auroral sea, taking their pleasures to be free, are yet divine and regular. When you've averaged emotion, found where nature goes to school. When you've averaged emotion, found where nature goes to school, after many years discovered who God be and how he rule, reckoned that Castalia's fountain ran a gallon to the hour, doubtless it and you shall dry, another race will claim a dower. Lightly you have sold your meadow and the freedom of the lay, sunlight ripple and sea burst, the winy air, the spumy sea, and wreaths of land whose edge it lifting kisses, and the soul of the stars and violet air that wrapped gold circles round the pole. Lightly sold your heart, forgot passion, courage, pang and throe, love the love and hate the hatred, keenly feel and largely do. You that daub with gorgeous colors, hum the strenuous key that pearled with the nightingales and Shakespeare song the eon-withered world. Life is his that lives. By living, not by learning, may we learn, and a hand that grasps not life is gathering ashes for its urn. But a breathless race comes flooding from the portals of the sun. Richer dawns and larger days and wider evenings are begun. This is the end of part 4 of the poems of Trumbull Stickney. Thank you for listening.